Let's just jump right into it. What do you want to talk about on the podcast today, Caleb?
Well, gosh, the last since the last time we spoke, we've grown so much. It's kind of I feel like it's just this perfect storm right now. Companies are seeing a little bit of a decline, in their lead numbers. Close rates are down a little bit. Cancel rates have skyrocketed, and we're sort of solving those problems. So it's a unique time. It really is a perfect storm. And we're just throwing up some absolutely ridiculous numbers that saying out loud doesn't even register. But um, we've taken some companies from, big national brands from 22% down to 6%, from 28%
22% what? Cancellation?
cancellation rates. Yeah.
Yeah, we dug into this last time, so let's just go ahead and revisit it for a moment. You said leads are down, close rates are down, cancel rates are up. Like that's usually a formula for disaster.
Yeah. 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 I think there's a potential, uh, I think there's going to be some potential fallout here in the next, quarter of some potential companies going out of business here. I think there's some companies really on the struggle bus. On the flip side, there's some companies out there that are absolutely skyrocketing. They're hiring all the right people, they're doing all the right things. But one of the things we've done is we've really added some additional like tech to our process and our system. And it I think it's been very influential in sort of highlighting the partnerships that we have, with these home improvement companies, with homeowners. And I think that's been one of the most effective uh, aspects of helping reduce these cancels. Um, so we've just kind of created some more automation, some more tech that is giving that end user like a much heightened sort of overall experience, which is really cool. So yeah, I think it's still an important issue to talk about.
Yeah, so for the audience members that aren't completely up to speed on destination motivation, we're talking about a travel voucher that you give out to your prospects slash customers during the sales process. Some people are using them on the front end for advertising to get appointments. More, I think, are using them as deal closers and deal keepers. So you talked about leads being down, closes being down. So we're trying to get these closes up and the cancel rates down. Again, also by way of just kind of nuts and bolts of how the program works, as a salesperson, you're going to be able to give this vacation voucher out to your customers. It's good for, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 7 days vacation at a resort, not all inclusive, but just a regular resort, uh, destinations all over the world. Also, there's some cruise options that are available. And the
Yeah,
idea is, hey, you don't have to choose between travel and
yeah,
remodeling, just do them both.
yeah.
Talk about how it's talk about two things. How is it reducing the rescission rates? And then also talk about the tech stuff that you've added that's made it easier.
Well, keep in mind about 79% of these homeowners that are traveling, they're going to be traveling this year. Their out-of-pocket costs for travel last year was about 5,400 that people were actually budgeting. This year, that number has skyrocketed to $10,244. So what travel has actually become sort of a hidden competitor of home improvement. So it's not just the window company down the street, it's not just the bath roofing company down the street that you're competing with. It's that $10,244 that people are budgeting, setting aside to go on that vacation this year, which is up from 5,400 last year. So
Let's pause there. What do you, I mean, that's a massive increase.
it's in
That,
yeah,
why is it up so much?
inflation, just the cost of travel overall has gone up considerably.
I know this. If I want to fly from Salt Lake to Cleveland, don't ask me why anybody would want to go to Cleveland. Sorry, Cleveland people. It's like $900 round trip.
I mean, like staying at a Best Western used to be like, $90, $100. Now it's like 280, a night. So it's across the board. I mean, I'm planning a trip to Ireland right now for next month for my dad's 80th. And the hotel, you can't find a hotel that's under $900 a night.
Wow.
Even these little three-star ones are $900 a night. It's just the cost of travel has gone up considerably.
Wait, where did you say you're going?
Ireland and Scotland.
Man, I'm gonna go open me a Best Western over there. That what we're in the wrong business. Not, well, you're
Tell me
not.
about it. I mean, the employment cost keeps going up. Los Angeles is passing this new law where, the minimum wage for hotels is going to be $30 an hour. So, it's just
Mm.
those costs get passed down to the end consumer ultimately. And so, because the average consumer has these, heightened costs with travel, and because they're budgeting, and that all stemmed from COVID. I mean, pre-COVID, some people budgeted, but now more people are budgeting because they don't want to give up that vacation. It's a priority, right? So, when a home improvement company is fighting for those dollars, now you've got this hitting better. And so all of these big companies that we work with that are now able to provide both, well, they're winning more business, but they're also keeping more business. And the keeping more business part really stems from, that consumer confidence. It keeps decreasing month over month, especially with these trade wars, the tariffs. The consumer confidence has declined significantly. Anytime there's volatility in the market, people stop spending their money.
Yeah, it's
So,
uncertainty.
and all these the sales organizations, they've got really good at closing, right? And that's good. That's a positive thing, because their product and service is important for that homeowner. It's solving a problem. But on the flip side, people still aren't sure that they want to give up that money, right? And so that's where cancellation rates, come in. And so what our program does, it really gives people that confidence, that extra value. It ties in the experiential side of the purchase. And the more experience you inject into your sales process, the less, buyer's remorse that you have. They don't regret going to Hawaii, but people do regret spending a lot of money on new windows, right? Then other products like, HVAC or roofing, those can really be
The
those can
grudge
really be almost a
purchase.
grudge purchase. Yeah. To where it's like, oh boy, like this is the last thing we want to spend our travel money on. So, again, it just kind of comes back to this whole perfect storm here. So we're solving not just a problem for these home improvement, home service companies, but we're solving this problem for the homeowner, right? Because they get this badass, amazing vacation. I mean, you alluded to, cruise vacations or condo resort. We just passed 3,000 reviews on Google alone, maintaining 5 stars a couple weeks ago. Um,
Wow.
these are all homeowners. They got a voucher. This is their experience. So we've focused heavily on the whole experiential side, which again is really influencing homeowners because if they know that they're going to get this incredible vacation from this specific window company, HVAC company, roofing company, but keep in mind they're also meeting with three other companies. In fact, I was talking to a sales guy in Denver the other day. He sold this lady that had 9 estimates. I don't know who has that much time in the day. 9 three and a
Karen's.
half hour conversations, but she did. And ultimately, she purchased with our client because they had the vacation voucher. And if you have to buy the product and you're gonna have to buy it from one of these companies, why not buy it from the company that's going to give you this awesome vacation?
So if the average number for vacation is 10,244, how much does your vacation voucher lower that by, do you think?
Well, because it's tugging on emotional heartstrings, like, oh my gosh, when you're selling, a couple and the wife turns to the husband and she's like, we're going to finally go to Paris. We've always dreamt of doing that. Or it's our 30th wedding anniversary, and we're going to go, to that resort in Mexico we've always, wanted to go
Yep.
back and visit when we got married. our daughter's getting married and this is her honeymoon gift. I mean, those are like real, that's real emotion, and obviously, most of these companies are focusing on injecting more emotion into the sales process. Um, but to have an emotion like that, that's where you get this heightened perceived value. And so, people put a perceived value of, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Um, it turns into a pretty big number, especially related to the cost. So what most of our clients are doing is they're leveraging this as a profit engine. We have one client uh, right now specifically that does about 3,000 vouchers a month. And for the year, because this is a profit engine, just on leveraging a voucher, not increased sales, not increased close rate, but just leveraging the voucher in the in each estimate, they're going to be making about an $18 million in additional profit this year.
Explain that to me. Break that down. I'm not following you.
So they increase their cost to X, right? The voucher cost is
Yep.
Y. So that spread turns into about 18 million this year.
So they raise their price. They feel like they can close at a higher price, is what you're saying. Average ticket has gone up.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, the average NSLI, however you want to look at it, but that that number alone this year will be 18 million. And that's not even include the extra sales that they're closing, the extra sales that they're keeping. So that's sort of where we've sort of re-engineered things is instead of this being looked at as like a marketing cost or something like that, it truly is a profit engine. And the tech side of it, is really focused on the customer experience. I think in 2025 and beyond, it just heightening that customer experience just creates such a bigger impact in the sales process, right? The more and people have to believe, hey, is this vacation real? Like, am I going to have a high quality experience? Is this one of those timeshare things? Is this like a gimmick? Like, do I have to jump through hoops? Like, those are some questions that are naturally going to come up, right? And so to have some tools in place just to squash those to where they see the value immediately and they see the unbelievable experience that they're going to have, well, now all of a sudden it becomes a lot more real, and the more real it becomes, the more valuable it becomes. Um, and so, that in itself is really driving, results, to where the sales rep that's, leveraging this doesn't necessarily have to be an expert on it. They can rely on the tools that we're providing them to help them promote it.
So last time we talked, you like I said before, you leaned into the cancellations are going down. Um, Talk about that particular element of it. I think it's worth repeating a little bit. Like I know people understand the concept, but like, what are you seeing in real life?
Yeah, I'll walk you through it real briefly because I mean I talk about this all day, but I'm still fascinated by it. I mean the numbers are extraordinary. I mean we have I could list 10 national brands right now, different ones that, cancel rate was at 28%. Now it's at 17%. It was at 22%. Now it's at 6%. It was at 15%. Now it's at, 4%. Like, these numbers have gone up. We had one client actually that we've been working with for a few years. They had to pause our program in January because they were going through they were changing out their tech. We were attached to a certain piece of their tech. So they had to hit the pause button for a couple months. The cancel rates skyrocketed. We just reactivated them a month ago, and they're back down to where that normal level that they were. Um,
What was the delta on that particular client?
their numbers.
Yeah, they went
We got it.
from high to low, then back to high, and then back to low.
They were at I'm gonna have to remember this. They were at like 16%, I believe, 15, 16%. We brought it down to about 7 or 8%. Um, and then it went back up to like 21%. It went back up significantly higher. Um, but that was because it's just gone up higher in general, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so, it's that consumer confidence that it hasn't been there a lot, specifically this year, especially with the tariffs and everything else.
So
The
if this is a
market.
national company, the difference between 7 and 21%, like this is millions of dollars a
Millions.
month.
It's millions. It's massive. Yeah, yeah. And that's why I think I mean our companies buy these vouchers from us. They buy it costs on average less than a couple $100 to be able to leverage on a sale, right? So at the end of the day, it's a small fraction of the number for what it's saving them in terms of ROI. Um, and the end user, the homeowner, they're saving 50 to 80% off of what it would normally cost. So the value to them is extraordinary. So it's a win-win-win all the way around. Homeowners win, they're getting this awesome vacation and fraction of a cost. Uh, these home improvement companies, home service companies, that we're actually lowering their marketing costs because at the end of the day, if we're saving all these cancels, we're increasing their close rates, we're maximizing, the leads that they are generating to help them close and keep more of those sales. And it's not just a small, fraction of the number, obviously, as I've stated. I mean, to go from a 22% to a 6%, okay, and I think that's one of the reasons that most of these large brands are gravitating towards, activating this as just a normal part of their sales process. So every lead that they run has this attached and it's just a part of their sales process.
Yeah, I mean, they can just bake it into the cost of sales, no different than, supplies that you need to install a window.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Talk about one of the things I think is really cool about your program is here. I'm going to say what's cool about it by saying what it's not. It's not, hey, here's a voucher, dear customer. Good luck. Like you guys take ownership of making sure that that your customers are having a good experience with this voucher.
Oh yeah. I mean, we've had to become lunatics about it. We that customer experience is so important to us. The thing about us, and Rich, you could attest to this, is because when we first spoke, you were like, wow, like that's crazy. Like there's no like blackout dates and you've got like this, 2 year to window. It's actually like a quality product that, you and I would want to get this thing, and it's not a gimmick. It's not some timeshare thing, right? And so we've had to be lunatics about that customer experience because to your point, when we originally met, there is sort of this notion that like, wow, I mean, can this thing be legit? Like, is it real? Like, is it really, are my customers really gonna have a good experience? If we just had like one bad review, and, yeah, see, haha, the company's not legit. Now, the good news is, we've got again over 3,300 reviews across, Facebook, Better Business Bureau, 3,000 plus on Google alone, maintaining 5 stars. You can only do that if you have a quality product and a quality experience. But in addition to that, obviously we get crazy people, out there. They're everywhere. You see it on any company that's selling windows, roofing, baths, HVAC. I mean, they're at a 4.5, 4.8. I mean, there's some people that are hard to please. Even those people, we bend over backwards. We'll even come out of pocket if we have to ensure that they have a high quality experience. So we just have this like do whatever it takes. We're gonna make this the happiest customer on the planet.
Give me an example of a time when you came out of pocket. Like, what does that look like? And I know it's rare, but
Sometimes we'll have sales reps that'll use the F word, the 4 letter F word, which is free. That obviously mismanages expectations. Not our fault. We train them not to use that word, but sometimes it happens, and that homeowner gets some mismanaged expectations. Even if they had to pay $300 and it was a
yep,
3,000 vacation, they're not going to be happy about it, no matter how we explain it. So we cover the 300. Here you go.
I
You win,
see.
I win, our client wins. Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard for people to be mad when you literally solve every objection they have.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we just don't let you know. So it costs us some extra money. That's part of ensuring that customer. I mean, not every company thinks that way, but that's just sort of our philosophy. We'd rather create happy customers always, not just some of the time,
Let's talk about something that we haven't really dived into or dove into. I don't know what the word is. Dived into. Talk about some of the destinations. Like build the dream for me as a consumer of where I can use this. Because we've kind of like I'm looking on your background right now, 3,000 5-star reviews, trusted by hundreds. And I think you've got a bullet point somewhere that's like X number of different resorts. What's the number?
It's 4,500 plus condos, resorts, hotels around the world in 106 countries. And in
Okay, so
the
give me some
cruise line,
examples of like some really good stuff. Like obviously when you've got 4,500, they're not all precisely the same, level of nice and quality and all that stuff. That's just common sense. So lean into some of the things that's a little bit nicer that's like, hey, this is what you can use this for. Help
oh,
the audience
yeah.
understand this.
We had a window client. I'm down here in San Diego right now for our company retreat, and we have a window client down here. We have hundreds and hundreds of these post travel video testimonials on our website, and one lady bought some windows. Went She was single, took some girlfriends with her to Santorini, this Greek island.
Okay.
So she's sitting there over the Aegean Sea in this amazing villa with a jacuzzi on the balcony overlooking the Aegean Sea. She bought more windows from the same company a few years later and used that voucher to go to London and Paris. Um, I mean, I don't know about you, but that hits home for me. It's like you get to go to these amazing places. They got a repeat customer, multiple purchases from the same person. But people use these to go, everyone ever. Now, not everybody has a budget like that. Some of our clients sell to a demographic that maybe doesn't have, disposable income. They don't have the type of money to, fly overseas like that.
They're
And
not
so
on the 10,244 plan. They're on a little bit less plan.
a little bit less, more like $10 and 44 cents. But especially after buying a $20,000 roof, But
Yeah.
uh, they'll people go all over the states. I mean, everywhere, even to like Vegas, as simple as Vegas or Phoenix, Arizona, or Orlando to take the kids to Disney World. One of our clients, Tunderland in Wisconsin, they had a lady in this situation. They'd never traveled with their kids before. They've always wanted to take them to Disney World. They saved so much money. Their out of pocket was like $180 for a week stay in at Disney World in Orlando. They drove from Wisconsin to Orlando, to
Yeah.
save that
Yeah.
additional money. And it was a trip of a lifetime for this family.
Pack sandwiches, the whole
But
thing.
yeah, yeah, one they'll remember forever. All thanks to this, I think it was a bath purchase, one of those one day bath products that they bought. But I mean, that's kind of what I'm alluding to with the whole, tugging on emotional heartstrings. I mean, we get testimonies from like moms that have rekindled with their daughters and, gone on a cruise and, you know,
Talk about the cruises for a minute. What kind of cruise, like tell me the value that these vouchers have when it comes to
it,
cruising.
I mean, so it's top four cruise lines: Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, Carnival, Celebrity. They ultimately save the homeowner 50 to 80% off of what it would normally cost. So, 50% would be more on like high season, or if you're going for a higher end, type of property or experience, like you're upgrading to the fanciest room or whatever. Or you're staying in, like a Ritz-Carlton type property. And then 80% would be like, you're not going over Christmas or July 4th weekend. It's not like peak season and
Yep.
um, you're not staying at the Taj Mahal.
Okay, so I'm gonna be the customer in the home right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been on cruises. I'm not like the world's biggest cruise guy, but I've been on a cruise probably 6 or 7 times.
Oh
So
wow.
I kind of know the ropes a little
Yeah.
bit. I like Royal Caribbean, so check, I can go on Royal
A
Caribbean.
number one. Yeah.
And I've found that I don't ever go over Christmas or anything like that because I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with the prices that are double or triple just because
Yeah.
it happens to be that week. I'm a lot more flexible with my time.
Yeah.
So I would say typically average price that I'm going to pay is about $2,000 per person for a week long, Eastern Caribbean or something like that. So $4,000 for two people. So you're
Sounds
saying
about
that
right.
probably 2 grand total instead of 4 grand total in the normal case scenario, maybe even better in some
Or
cases.
less. Yeah, yeah, or less. Yeah,
And I can
absolutely.
go on any cruise that they have, not like just this one here that sucks.
It's all of them. Yeah, it's every itinerary around the continental U.S. Any of those departing ports. Alaska is the number one. About 30% of people pick the cruise voucher. About 70% pick the we call it the condo resort voucher.
Wait, say that again. I heard you, but I didn't capture it.
30% of these homeowners they choose because they have an option of which voucher they want. So in the sales process, we get them to decide because that's a buying decision, right? So about
Yep.
30% pick the cruise voucher, about 70% pick the condo resort voucher.
That's
And
I don't
it
know if that's surprising or not, but that I mean it's a lot of cruising, because there's way less cruises than there are 4,500 resorts.
but that number was wildly flip-flop pre-COVID. Pre-COVID it's like 90% pick the cruise voucher, 10% pick but it's slowly been coming back. So those
Is
numbers.
that owing to people maybe doing the road trip kind of a thing instead of, you know,
You know, it, no, I think it really boils down to pe people are traveling more, right? And because of COVID shed a light. Okay, we don't like giving up vacations. That's something that's very important, something that we value. It's now at the forefront. It's a priority, right? So, I think COVID has really helped. Actually, at the time, it sucked when the whole world ceases to travel. My business, it makes it a little bit more challenging to sell a product that you can't use. So that was a tough time, but we got through it, and then we
and
kind of
tough.
and said, hey, you got something to look forward to, right? Down the road here. But then there was just like so much pent up demand. But then again, the fallout from the cost, the inflation, which made the cost go, has been extraordinary. I mean, so even though people want to travel more, they're having to do it in a way that's a little bit more cost effective, right? And as you know, like, to go on a week long cruise, I mean, it's 4 grand, whereas you could do like a weekend getaway, and it might cost you $1,000, right? And
Yeah.
you could do 3 or 4 of those in a year, right? If you had the time. So I think that those are some of the reasons that the condo resort vouchers got more popular.
So tell me this. Maybe you know exactly, maybe you can just ballpark it. Out of the top, let's say 100 largest home improvement companies remodeling, we'll let the HVAC guys, sit over in a different category. What percentage of them are using your product?
Well, a lot. I mean, if you just look at the top 30, we work with 24 out of the top 32 companies. Um, I don't even know what it is on the top 100. I maybe could 50% maybe.
Okay, so here's how I'm interpreting what you just said. The very biggest companies are leaning into this heavily
Heavily.
as as they go down the ladder, so still very big companies, but not the biggest companies, it starts to fall off a little bit. What are you seeing in the smaller companies? Like let's say like 3 to 6 million, somewhere in that range. Are you seeing a lot of companies doing this, or you still got a lot of work to do in those areas?
We've significantly adjusted. That was not our sweet spot, let's say a year ago or even 6 months ago. But now we are activating a lot of those companies because of that sort of tech that we've built out has
Well, here's
really.
why I'm asking the question,
Yeah,
because hey, the top 32 companies are using this. That's 32 out of 10,000 companies of any kind of significance, not counting, necessarily the chucks in a truck.
yeah.
So it's easy to hear that and go, okay, they got a lot of money. I don't know, whatever excuses you might want to throw on that. I want to really drive this home for the smaller company. Like if you're out there doing $3 million in windows or $6 million in bathrooms, like I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't lean into this.
Oh, we're signing up like 30 of those companies a month right now. all day we're getting calls from those types of companies specifically because
And let's be real. Like let's be real in terms of dollars. So
yeah,
I'm a $5 million window company. I probably here I'm a $6 million window company because that's easier math. 500,000 a month. So that's let's say roughly 30 to 50 jobs a month. Okay, so let's say 30 to 50 jobs a month, 40 jobs a month. What am I paying for vouchers at that volume?
$200 the
200
voucher.
bucks. Okay, so I got 200 times 40, so I'm paying you $8,000 for the vouchers. And I think this is where guys get a little bit scared. They're like, well, $8,000, I could afford to go hire, a really good person to enhance my staff and my capabilities, or I could buy this piece of equipment. Your customers, Caleb, are also have hidden competitors, right, for these dollars.
Oh
But
yeah.
I think if the whole point of this particular part of the conversation is I want to shift people's thinking from it's an $8,000 expense to give
Yeah.
my 40 customers a month to no, this is not an expense. This is a profit center.
So I was talking to one of these types of companies that you're referencing recently, and he's like complaining to me. He's like, "Man, my tech stack is like 50,000 a month. I have this, 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 I have this.
Yep.
I don't know what's helping or, I don't know, like, is this giving me a 10% return? Is this giving me, I can't tell. I don't know. Like, I think I'm supposed to have these. I think it's, but he knows specifically what my program does for him. He knows that it's dropped his cancel rate from X to Y. He knows that his top producing salespeople are closing, at a 20% higher close rate than they would without the program. So he can see those real ROI values. And I think, it's an interesting time because you kind of are starting to see some of these bigger companies um, kind of build out all of their own, systems and processes and build out their own tech as opposed to, hiring a company that has a product already built for them. You're seeing that more and more because I think that it's just gotten so expensive. There's just so much.
There's
But
too
this
many
is
things.
this is yes, so many. And look, I mean that's our competitor, right? It's like how much do you have to even use it? But with ours, I mean you can see the real numbers, right? Going in the right direction, like instantly. It's not this like 3 month build out, it's overnight. And on top of that, you're hiring us. We're not like a vacation voucher company, right? Yes, it's a product that we've created and leverage, but there's so much more that's way more impactful than just the vacation voucher. I mean, when a sales rep is armed with this and he goes out to a home, he's got this landing QR code landing page that he provides the homeowner. It brings them to a website that shows our partnership. It shows like we just launched with a company called Best Choice Roofing. They're the largest Owens Corning dealer in the country. We're going to help increase their close rate, decrease their cancels. They showcase the fact that they're an Owens Corning partner. We're an Owens Corning partner. So right on this landing page, it tells this beautiful story about how they're the number one Owens Corning dealer. And because of this partnership, they've got, X amount of vacation vouchers they're giving out to the next few qualified customers. So this homeowner sees this, they see this 2 minute video of me on a beach talking about how cool these vouchers are, the flexibility, the options. It's a 2 minute video. They get to see the value of it becomes real.
I
And
hope you're
then
not wearing a Speedo.
no, thank God. No one wants to see that. I don't even want to see that. And then 24 hours after the sale's made, we are getting this homeowner's contact info, and then we get to work. We call this homeowner. We say, "Hey, congratulations on your purchase from Best Choice. They are the best roofing company on the planet. They're fantastic. More importantly, congratulations on your vacation. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do?" And we just have this lighthearted, fun conversation. So that helps with third-party verification. That helps with buyer's remorse. But the really cool part is if they are still, unsure of their decision, let's say they think they can get a less expensive price. Maybe it was the financing terms that were a little confusing. Yeah, I think we're going to cancel, Great. Our CSR types it up. It has a automated system through our CRM that goes to a designated person on their team that is then able to contact that homeowner right after we get off the phone with them. We let them know they're going to be calling. Hey, they'll reach out to you here in a few minutes. Boom, they call and they get ahead of it. And they get ahead of it in a way that is impactful. before they've truly made up their mind and they're calling them, right? And so they're saving a lot more of these sales through that mechanism because they're getting in front of it. And so like we had one client that just saved like 80% of those calls that we're sending their way, which ultimately would have canceled. So we're making the impact right there in the sales process and the phone call, but then you do get those ones that squeak through. So this is like it's almost like a fail safe. It's like the ultimate button up, if you will. Um,
I think you did say this specifically, but I want to just point at it a little bit longer because I think it's really important. The third party verification. It's like I just sold you a roof. I'm a little bit nervous about it. It's a big purchase. Maybe I could have done better. Do I really want to spend it? Do I really need the roof? And now you've got this third party company that's calling very professional, congratulating you on your purchase of the roof. I think that there's a lot to be said for that. I don't want to just zoom past that. I want to notice it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I mean, we think it's important because, I mean, look, you've probably experienced this, in your own personal life. I know I have, where I've had window companies out to my home. I've had a fireplace company that builds these fireplaces. I've had, flooring companies, you name it, and they come out. I just had a solar company last week, and I'm always fascinated to see these, presentations, sometimes lack of thereof, but yeah, the you call a few different companies, you maybe get a referral from somebody. Ultimately, like, I hope they do a good job. Am I getting the best price? It's tough. You could be the smartest person on the planet, and you're still unsure. You don't quite know if I did I make a good decision. So there is a lot of buyer's remorse attached to it, especially when the decision's a hard one. So I think, when all of a sudden you get this call, and it's like, hey, no, you know what? You did make a good decision. They're fantastic. We know them. We know what they're capable of. They're going to get taken care of. We wouldn't work with them if they didn't, and we had one client or one of our clients in Florida, this window company, this big manufacturing plant. It's like 300,000 square foot manufacturing plant. I've been down there to it. This lady was like, I think I'm gonna cancel. There's no way that they've got this 300,000 square foot manufacturing plant. They're probably working out of their garage. I just don't believe it. And we're like, no, actually, we can point to their website. They got pictures and everything. We've been there. If you look at our Instagram, we got a picture there, at the manufacturing plant. And ultimately, she didn't knew that our client didn't even have to call them. We were able to save it just with that conversation. So it does make a big impact.
Well, and I was just thinking about a homeowner doing a little bit of mental math. So let's say I'm in that nervous situation. Maybe I got another bid that was a little bit lower, or maybe I feel like I should get a couple more bids to see if they're going to be lower. But then you start doing the math on this, and you're like, okay, this vacation voucher is probably worth a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'm overpaying by 1,000. Like maybe they're thinking that. Okay, I'm still ahead.
Well, I don't, the way that we educate our clients to
Now, I'm
present,
not saying that you educate them like that. I'm saying that they're just going to do math in their head.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
going to allow them to go, even if I'm not sure if I got the best deal, all things being equal, I'm still coming out ahead because this thing is worth real dollars.
Yeah, yeah, there is an element to that. I mean, we get testimonials from homeowners daily to where they're like, yeah, this company was more expensive than the other competitive bids that we received, but they had the vacation. So there is
Yeah.
there is the to your point, there is like the cost savings that they sort of calculate from an ROI standpoint. But I think bigger than that is really the experiential side of it. Just
Well,
thinking to
it
themselves,
all adds up, man.
we're gonna go. Remember that trip that we've been dying to go, the itching to do, that thing we've been talking about forever, and we've been putting off. It this is serendipitous. It's finally landed in our lap, and we're finally doing it.
The Lord sent you.
Dude, we hear these stories from sales reps, literally. Like there's been people start crying sometimes. I mean, it's wild. You think I'm making this stuff up, but it's we hear it all day, every day of just these stories that where the sales reps love it because it's not just helping them make more money. And I mean, I had a call from a sales rep yesterday, and I've never talked to the guy before. And he's like, I've closed $3.5 million in window sales just this year. I've already hit my number to go to President's Club for next
Wow.
year.
Well,
And attributes, a lot of it to the program here.
I think it's easy for you, Caleb, and me, Rich, and also your typical client to really like I travel all I want. I don't travel. I don't need to travel any more than I travel, and I probably travel even more than I really need to. Between business travel, where I don't really, I mean, I like being there because it's good for business and everything, but just
Yeah.
personal travel, like I don't really have a budgetary constraint. And I think a lot of your customers also fit that category. The guy's doing $3, $4 million. He's taking home two, three, $400,000 in personal income. He can take his kids to Disney. It's not a big deal. But then you kind of forget, a lot of these customers, that trip really does make a difference. And I can see a certain kind of customer on the lower end of the spectrum, economic spectrum, going, okay, I'm going to take this voucher and I'm going to engineer it to where it's not free because I know that's the four-letter word,
Yeah.
but I'm going to engineer this to where I'm going to get the absolute lowest possible cost vacation and it's still going to be good. This is really cool. I love your product and there's no big mystery to me why you guys are doing so well with it.
Well, thank you. I mean, we do have clients to your point that will add like an extra, 5% discount that then, you know, maybe they were adding already anyways, right? Maybe it's the part one of their drops. But what they say out loud is what's impactful. They say, "Oh, you got to, some, resort fees and taxes, it's nominal, but you're going to save 50 to 80% off. But you know what? We're going to give you this extra 5% off and that'll cover your fees and your flight or something." And so that emotional, attachment
Yeah.
that they have with it, now all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, shoot, like that's even more impactful, right?"
Yeah, so there's no mystery why your company's doing good. The real mystery is why home improvement companies aren't it. I hate to say try this because I know that there's a commitment that's involved with this program. This is not something you take on casually and say, well, we'll throw, 20 or 30 vouchers out there, see how it goes, and then decide if we really want to do it. I'm recommending against that. I'm recommending to really learn how it works and then go in with a commitment to it. But I'm also going to back up and say, I don't understand why you wouldn't give this a fair shake.
Any big client that we work with, and this is a message to the, small to medium sized companies out there, but any big client that we work with, we always do a test pilot. We'll take one of their branches, two of their branches, three of their branches, or offices, whatever they call them, and we'll do a test pilot. And we get the results across the board every single time. Every single time. Close rates go here, cancel rates go there. Boom, everybody's making a lot more money. And so we we get those same benefits with small or medium sized clients too, but we always prove it out and then boom, they go all in.
All right, let's land this plane. If somebody wants to learn more, go to, let me think, I know it. It's increaseoursales.com, right? OUR, increaseoursales.com.
Boom.
And if people go to destinationmotivation.com, that would be more of your customer facing
That's the
website for.
homeowner, yeah, homeowner side. Yeah, just where they see all the different travel options and things like that. And
Yeah, so go to increaseoursales.com, go in there and take a look around, see all the testimonials and all the companies that are using it, and then reach out to these guys and get moving on it. How many times do I got to have you on the podcast before people go, Rich, I
what
got it?
I'll leave you with this. We signed this company. They're well known out of I think they're out of Tennessee or Kentucky. No, Kentucky. And I just heard this the other day, but they like my brother works with us and he's their account manager. And my brother calls me. He's like, "Well, they want to see if you're going to this conference next week because they want to buy you a steak dinner." And they want to apologize for not signing up 2 years ago, when you first met with them. I was like, wait, I'm the vendor. I'm supposed to buy them dinner. What the heck? But it's been so impactful, on their sales that they're kicking themselves for not using this thing earlier.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're a company that's in business to make money, and I'm sure you guys do well over there on a given account. But the real test is who's making the most money on this transaction, you, Destination Motivation, or your clients. And I, You probably have these numbers. I mean, what's a typical ROI on this? It's got to be massive.
Yeah, it all matters if we can get 100% adoption, it's massive. If they're using it, every other fifth, Thursday, then, maybe it'll
Yeah, but
help
the
close
guys
a
that are
deal
using like
here.
these 24 out of 32 companies, like, or this guy that we were talking about, sort of the hypothetical, he's doing 40 jobs a month, so he's spending 8 grand with you. Here, let's run a couple numbers real quick. Sorry to keep this a little bit longer, but if you sell 40 deals and your rescission was 20%, that means you had 50 to get the 40. So you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
save, let's say you save half of those, so there's five. Average sales $15,000. So there you just save $75,000 in sales. That's just on rescission. And now let's say your closing ratio goes up by 5%. So now you've got an extra whatever two sales. So there's another 30,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, there's a hundred
100,000.
thousand on
Trade that.
$8,000 investment.
Trade that all day long. Yeah.
Then you got repeat and referral. That's certainly going to go up. You're going to have just better customer experience all around.
Yeah, I mean, but ultimately, most of our clients, add this cost to the estimate by raising their prices somehow, anyways, because the
Yeah.
percent value of these things um, is so extraordinary. Or they adjust their discounting, and so instead of discounting 10% or 15% or 20%, they just lower it by they take 5%. We're not,
Yep.
and so that increases their NSLI and increases their probability.
Yeah, so they're actually making more money than they would have discounted because
More
the
money.
voucher
Yeah.
is less than their discount would have been.
Yeah, that's why I say this is a profit engine, right?
I
And
got you.
it's harder these days, to make a profit, really. It's getting harder and harder. It's like,
All right, man. This is amazing. Hopefully I'll see you at a conference coming up sometime soon.
yeah,
And and hey, everybody, increaseoursales.com. Go check it out.
I
Thanks, Caleb.
appreciate you, Rich. Thank you.
See ya.